Greetings, programs. Welcome to Hydaelyn's Heroes, the Final Fantasy XIV podcast, where whether you're a warrior of light or a warrior of darkness, all are welcome on this star we call home. All right, we are going to be talking about a lot of things here. 5 main topics that we've decided upon. We've got mods, we've got new MSQ for 6.1, and a trailer drop or something of that nature. I don't know. But it's been quite a while since we've been here, a few months. There's been a couple big moves in both me and my co-host's life, so I think we're getting settled and we can start providing you glorious content on a week-to-week basis. Before we get into that, I want to introduce the Agent Smith to my Neo, Mr. Piers Harvey. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. I don't mind being Agent Smith. I always like to believing. Anyway,
what about the new one?
All right. Okay. I've not actually seen the new one because I heard it wasn't super great, but I do owe it to myself to at least watch it because, I mean, everybody said that the second and third Matrix movies were pretty cheesy too, and they were, but they were still fun. So I should just give the last one a chance. But anyway,
I'm with you too. I haven't seen it myself, but you're right. Hugo Weaving was awesome, even if the second and third movies weren't all that great, and the Burley fight was kind of hit and miss with the CG. Anyways, beyond that, let's get back to some Final Fantasy talk here. Since it's been a while, tell everyone how you've been doing. What's been going on with you, as much as you're willing to divulge.
Oh, in my life, I mean, I did a big move pretty much all the way across the country from Virginia to Arizona. So, just trying to get by, working a new job, just living, doing my thing. Yeah.
Living, surviving, doing the best you can.
Yeah, just that thing and playing a lot of Final Fantasy, raiding a lot, but that's to be expected. But how about you? What have you been up to? I know you've been doing all kinds of stuff.
I've had a big move myself. Went from Washington to Idaho to be closer to my kids, and that's about it. Trying to get the content up and running. Part of this whole thing is sleep schedule, because when you don't have a regular job and you're wanting to do this full time. Again, having a stable sleep schedule is kind of important. I've really jacked mine up a couple times. So the streaming schedule is pretty much set. I've got that on point for the most part. Have been sick a couple times here and there. COVID one of the times, which was awful.
Oh, yeah.
But things are up and running, and glad to get back into that. But how
That's
we move into the show.
Sure.
So we have 5 main topics today. Piers, do you know how we choose our main topics?
How do we choose our main topics? You just tell me.
Well, right now, we are dividing into coming up with them ourselves. But what we would like is to hear from you folks.
Of course.
So if you send in your questions to tarkothgaming@gmail.com, maybe, just maybe, high possibility that your question can be part of our show and be one of our main story quests. So with that said, let's get on with main quest number 1. And that main quest is patch 6.1 is the start of a newfound adventure. With the story being reset, how do you both feel about the initial new story? And I'm going to take this off the top here. 6.0 was the end. 6.1 is a new beginning, newfound adventure. I find it funny that they named the patch that. Like, couldn't you come up with something maybe a little bit more, appropriate, I guess, instead of, it seems kind of cheesy.
I mean.
But I love the initial setup. I know it's going to be kind of a slow grind, but we're going to have 5 patches worth of MSQ to get to 7.0. I'm really kind of excited with how things are started. I love that we got a big dose of Y'shtola, because we didn't really get much of her in 6.0 series. It looks like we're going to be going to the Void, and I love the big tease of the 4 Fiends and Golbez. It warms my heart, because Final Fantasy IV is my favorite Final Fantasy of all time, because it was my first. Piers, what about you? Tell me what you're thinking about the story so far.
It's really interesting. Truth be told, I didn't finish the main story until tonight. So I actually got on before the podcast, and I got through the main story. So and I actually really enjoyed it. It took a lot longer than I thought it would, but it was a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying where this is going. I don't know if 7.0 is going to be. I don't think it's going to be in the 13th. I don't know how much you can really do a whole expansion in a shard that's been like already completely destroyed. But I do like the us going there, at least in the 6.x series, and seeing where that takes us. Though I still would like to see like full 13th zones. Maybe we could get like a 13th zone in 7.0, but I don't know if you could do a whole expansion there. But I'm really interested. I'm really interested in this like proto like homunculus Atomos that they're making, just so you can like go into the 13th. That's really interesting, and them having to like redo that little scale, like the radiant scale thing that we got. So that we can go into the 13th and not feel the adverse effects like when we did in the World of Darkness raid. If you remember at the end of that, like Nero got really screwed up with the darkness corrupting him, and so we don't want that to happen to us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, we're taking that to Garland our work so that they can like make a protective shell for this like this special talisman that we have, and all in all, like I'm actually really interested in where it's going. So. And of course, it was great to see more Y'shtola. We got a lot of Y'shtola characterization in this patch series and this main story for 6.1. So I enjoyed that a lot.
I gotta say the favorite line here is water, froth and foam. She was so cute and adorable. I just wanted to hug her.
Yeah, like a like a magical princess or something from an anime.
I just imagined her as like an 8-year-old. Like, this is my first spell. Ah.
Yeah.
Also, the Saptra, his name escapes me because it's been ages since I've done it. His need to find his sister, but also realizing, no, my responsibility is here to my people. So he's conflicted. He really wants to go find his sister. He has barely any hope that she's possibly alive because it's been years and years since this all happened. Actually, it's got to be hundreds of years, right? Because this was back during Allegan time.
This is
when
back
she disappeared.
Allegans. Yeah.
So, one person, my boy Kronos from the Relic Grind, he suggested that with her being in the 13th for so long, that she's probably Golbez's shadow dragon.
Ooh, that's an interesting. Yeah. It's been a while since I've played 4, but I know that was one of his whole things, was having that shadow dragon with them, right, in the boss fight.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, yeah.
So good. Anything else you want to talk about with the main story quest? Any highlights or lowlights you're interested in divulging about?
Going into the actual dungeon itself, I thought that was a lot of fun. It was a big Final Fantasy XI throwback, actually.
Oh, okay.
The name of the area, which was the name is escaping me, but it's the
it's from 11.
It's from 11. Yes, of course the name is escaping me, but it's an area from the Ott-Urgan expansion, because like the Razathan and Thavnir is very much like Ott-Urgan from 11, so it's like a very easy 1-to-1 comparison. Sure. That city to Razathan, they're very similar. So seeing that whole thing and all like the enemies in that dungeon were Final Fantasy 11 throwbacks. Like the chariot boss was an 11 throwback, and so that all was really cool, and I like the dungeon a lot, and I like the whole subplot with Astinian and him helping out the little boy, and them founding an orphanage for all of the displaced kids that didn't have a place to go after the final days. So
and apparently in our time between 6.0 and 6.1, Astinian has gotten better with coin.
Yes. Yeah, he's not buying, like, he's not spending 20,000 gil for one thing of water or tea or whatever he spent it on that one time.
Food or whatever that was, yeah. Speaking of the dungeon, I did like it, but it's still the same formula for Final Fantasy 14 dungeons.
Of course.
I'm hoping that Criterion dungeons that come in the future maybe throws a new wrinkle into things. I don't know. considering it's going to be flexible 1 to 4 characters. But I think we need to get somewhere beyond this whole, pull wall to wall dungeon boss, wall to wall dungeon boss, wall to wall dungeon boss. It's just, I've done my dungeon or an expert twice since 6.1 is launched. I haven't needed to do it at all. Like if I need tombstones, I'm doing PvP, dude.
Yeah, it's definitely a good option.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with you. Some dungeons are obviously more enjoyable than others when it comes to the content. Like some of the pulls are maybe a little bit more exciting, or some of the bosses are just a little bit more well designed. But I think in one of the most depressing things of all is, you look back at some of the older dungeons in the game, especially some of the old Realm Reborn dungeons, and especially some of the old 1.0 dungeons that were repurposed into 2.0 dungeons. Nobody liked to go back and do them because they were kind of boring, and there were all these multiple branching pathways, but there was really no reason to go down those pathways. And since then, they've actually streamlined those dungeons so that there are no more branching pathways. Tamtara Deepcroft comes to, or Todorok, the Thousand Malls of Todorok comes to mind, where now there's not any branching path. You just go down one path. And I think that is actually a little depressing that they did that, because that was one of the few things about that dungeon that really set it aside from all the others, is that it was kind of more of like an exploration thing instead of just going from point A to point B, fight a boss, point A to point B, fight a boss, point A to point B, fight the final boss.
Yeah.
And I do hope that they somehow spice up the dungeons in some way to make it so that, it does break the formula, like you said.
Okay.
So
the two things about the dungeon that I did like that they did was in the second section after the first boss. It wasn't just a wall to wall thing. It was kind of a monster spawning generator. Yes. And if you wanted to get through fast, you were hammering out that monster boss generator. In the 2 dungeons that I went through, both times we got the maximum amount of monsters and we almost wiped. And I'm like, guys, we got to take out this generator. Otherwise it's just going to keep coming. And then finally that last boss, I don't know about you. I was this close to dying on that last boss because the damn twirly mechanic with the spikes in the lane cleave at the end.
Yeah. The first time I did that dungeon, I ran into the spikes a few times doing the whole like spinning around thing. But since I've gotten used to the controls, now I can just do it every time. But that first time I did get super duper close to dying. So I like that a lot. It was a lot of fun.
Anyways, we want to know what you guys think. Drop a comment down below and let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. And with that out of the way, let's move on to main quest number 2. Piers, take it from us.
So it's me. So 6.1 saw the 4th Ultimate Raid released and saw it defeated in close to a week. Where are you gentlemen currently at, and how are you feeling about the latest iteration of the hardest content series in the game? So yes, 6.1 obviously, 6.15 or whatever, 6.11, whatever it was, 2 weeks after 6.1 came out, obviously we had the Ultimate release. And it has been definitely a roller coaster, going from kind of, I'm not somebody who closely watches the world race or anything like that. It just doesn't super interest me, but still like progging it currently and then like looking at what other groups are doing strategy wise. So then you can like implement that into your own strategy as you're currently progging the fight. And it has been kind of a lot of fun. I did do that a little bit in T, but T I kind of had a late start in, so this is like the first time I've kind of been like hitting the ground running in a current Ultimate, and it's been definitely an experience. And I would say for sure, without a doubt, this is probably the hardest Ultimate fight that they've ever done, and I think it's going to be extremely rewarding to clear. And overall, I'm really having a good time with it. I like the theming of it. I'm a huge fan of Thornton and the Knights, and Heroes is one of my favorite themes, so being able to hear that every time you wipe and you go back to the first part of the fight is great. Barring, of course, the I
don't know, when you spend 4 hours in it, it can wear on you.
I don't know. That song will always get me pumped up. But there even being a door boss is an interesting thing. I understand why they did it, because it's all thematic when you go back in time to that point. And they did that because if you notice in the first phase, you only have LB2, so you can't somehow cheese the LB meter to 3 and then save Horse Font instantly in the first phase. You have to go all the way through and then go back so you can save them. So I get why they did the whole like door boss thing, but overall it's definitely been an experience. And where my group at is currently, it's right after you save Horse Font in the intermission, and you go into, I believe they call it phase 5, and that's the one where you're fighting Thornton again in the alternate timeline where you save Horse-Font and he goes to, I think it's the Churning Mists, and he starts reviving all of the dragon children of Hraesvelgr and Nidhogg so they can do his bidding or something. And the first real mechanic in that phase is called Wrath of the Heavens, and then the second mechanic is Death of the Heavens, and then that's pretty much the whole phase. So we're at Wrath of the Heavens right now and just trying to clean that up. So, but overall, really good time. How are you enjoying it? What's your take on Dragon Song's Reprise?
So, unlike you, I've not completed all of the ultimates yet. I've only finished 2 of them. I never stepped into T. But I like you. This is the first one where I've gone in day 1 and doing prog on an ultimate while it's relevant content. It is quite the ordeal. UCOB maybe set me up a little bit better mentally wise than Ultima, or UWU as people like to call it. But I seem to be one of the few in my group that is mentally prepared for it. We've had a revolving door, a lack of focus, a lot of non-needed chatter in the comms, which can distract people. It's distracted me before. We're like, what the hell are they talking about? Oh, I missed that mechanic. I missed my spot. I came prepared. I got my 80 crafting for repairs in the instance so we don't back out. I've had my 900 pots, 100 food. I'm ready to go. And unfortunately, maybe I need to find a new group that's has the same mindset as me. But we've been struggling. The revolving door part and people leaving early, coming late, that I feel is a key ingredient for failure for an ultimate. You need to have consistency both in time and people, and having revolving door. Let me put it this way. Thursday was the second night in a row that we had all 8 of our people together in a row. Yes, that's our season high. 2 nights.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not good. But where we're at, we've gotten to Nidhogg. Tuesday we saw like 12, 13 pulls of Nidhogg. And then we did some practice outside of the instance for the towers. And then the previous night, last night, the last raid, which was Thursday night, we saw maybe 12 or 13. So we had like 60 pulls. And again, for 2 nights in a row, we've only seen Nidhogg twice. So there's a lot of focus that needs to happen. And if you're going to go deep into this, I guess this is another thing to talk about. This is the longest ultimate. You include the prelude or phase 1. This is a 20-minute fight. It's insane how much time and focus you're going to need for this. I am up for the challenge. I just, I wish teammates, if you're watching, come on guys, let's buck up, let's focus, let's get some prog in, huh? But overall, I'm loving the thematics. I'm loving the mechanics. I love the layering that's going on. I just want to see more of it. Any last thoughts before we move on to main topic number 3?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can say is just advice to anybody who's doing ultimates. When it comes to the order of importance in ultimate, I think that the number one thing that needs to be said, and the number one thing by far in a group, is consistency. So yeah, the fact that you've had a revolving door of people, it makes it very hard to stay consistent, because when you have new people, they're not used to your strats, they're not used to your intricacies. Like, for the first mechanic in Thornton, Strength of the Heavens, everybody used to call out which tower they're taking when when you go north and they don't have like a blue marker. Now nobody has to do that anymore because we all just know who's taking which tower, and that kind of stuff comes with repetition in the same people. So to all you out there who are doing ultimates, the number one thing is consistency, being consistent in mechanics and being consistent with your group. It goes way further than DPS, goes way further than anything else you can think of, mitigation, anything. Consistency is key in ultimate. So I do hope that your group can get it together, and I hope your group can stay consistent and your members stay consistent, because that's really all it takes. Once you get that consistency down, you'll start to see prog. So,
and you talked about DPS. I feel that when you have the consistency, your DPS will then follow suit.
Yes.
The consistency, knowing mechanics comes first. Then you organize your DPS around that. So, all right, that is it. Let us know what you guys think. Drop a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. And with that out of the way, let's move on to main quest number 3. And our third main quest, with videos of the ultimate being completed and released, it brought up an issue that Square Enix keeps turning a blind eye to. Mods and add-ons took a major spotlight in the community, with YouTube videos being struck down and streamers getting banned for playing with mods. Being that you are both PlayStation players, how do you feel about mods and add-ons? Okay, so yeah, big hullabaloo in the Square Enix community, and Yoshi P dropping the hammer down. And it kind of really originated with some videos of the ultimate being defeated and there being add-ons visible and I guess maybe audibly being heard. That video got struck down on YouTube. And then Yoshi P did a series of messages to the community reiterating that add-ons and mods are not part of terms of service. They are not allowed in the game. But this has been a long-running issue of, don't show, don't tell, and we won't do anything about it. I'm not sure how you feel, but I kind of feel that, from a PlayStation perspective, because we don't get access to these tools and these additional modifications, I think they should just be banned entirely, and not just, don't ask, don't tell. Like, you're creating two sets of different experiences depending on what platform you choose. You got the PC players and they can mess around as long as they don't, flaunt it. And then you got the PlayStation players that don't have any choice, that the game is the game, and you can kind of tweak the UI a little bit. But, you have the has and has nots, unfortunately. Have I used, the benefits of a PC player having DPS meters and showing logs? Yes, I have. And I appreciate that use. But if we want a fair playing ground and a fair experience, I'm not just talking about Ultimate, a fair experience across the entire game, I feel that they should be banned, or as Yoshi Pia says, maybe they're going to look into some of these add-ons that they can incorporate into the game. Tell me what you think about this, Piers.
The discussion about add-ons is an interesting one, because I think it's a very slippery slope if you think about it.
Sure.
For me personally, I'm somebody who is I'm okay with certain add-ons, and I'm less okay with other add-ons. When it comes to things like graphical enhancements, or possibly even like a few HUD tweaks or something, maybe something that will tell you like the percentage of somebody's HP next to their name, or it changes the little job icon. I've seen that HUD thing like that. That's not a huge
I like
deal,
that
right?
one. Like the job icon next to their name. That would be awesome, because then you can see visually. You don't have to kind of go back to see, is every role in their spot.
Exactly, yeah, and that's something they could add into the game pretty easily. I think like simple graphical tweaks, I think, are fine. When you start to talk about things like CactBot, for example, it's a program that will tell you a mechanic is going to happen before it happens. And in some sense, I think when something is doing a call out for you, it's not a huge deal. But these programs are so efficient that they can tell you that a certain mechanic is going to happen before the mechanic has even told. Like, there's even the tell that mechanic is going to happen. And what I mean by that is if you are familiar with, I know you are, Tark, but if anybody else out there, with the very end of the Thornton phase in Dragon Song, he does those wild broad swings, right?
Sure.
And you're supposed to look at which side he cleaves first and move into that one. Cacbot is able to tell you which side to move in before the tell even happens. And in that sense, I think, and for an example that's even more relevant for everybody out there who plays Final Fantasy, in Aglaia, the final fight against Nullthal, you know how he can swap his color, and that determines which is safe and what's not.
Sure, yeah.
Well, Cacbot can tell you where to go before the color swap even happens. So in that sense, yes, people are getting an unfair advantage over players like us, or over players, you know, who are on PlayStation, or over players who are on PC who choose not to use these add-ons. They're getting an unfair advantage. And you know, I'll be honest, I've taken advantage of that. You know, I play with people who have those add-ons, and they'll call out, oh, go right on this broad swing in Thornton, or, you know, go to the orange color in Nullthal, and I take advantage of it. But do I agree with it, and do I think that there probably should be something done about it? Probably, because they are giving players an unfair advantage over others. You know, I don't have the option to put that on my PlayStation. So, but when it comes to things like parsing meters and things, I don't think that's a big deal. I'm somebody who absolutely loves challenging myself to try to get better every week when it comes to my parsing, be it in Savage or even in the 24-man or in anything. I like to really push myself. So I don't think that DPS meters are a huge deal, but there are some add-ons that I don't agree with. And of course, this kind of thing is always going to happen in especially in Ultimates, that Yoshi is going to take a look at this kind of things and bring down the hammer, because this happened in T. If you remember, back when T was cleared, the first group was using a program called Paisley Park that was able to put down way markers instantly. So as the phases would change, they would just hit one button, way markers would completely change, like all 8 way markers would be in completely different locations, and that was seen as an unfair advantage. And they went so far
automated it.
Yeah, and it was automated, and so the dev team went so far as to completely make it so you can no longer place way markers down in the middle of combat, which in my opinion is a bad choice on their part. But they did it in reaction to the T World First group using this program to instantly put down their way markers. And so it's those kind of programs that Cacbot, I know there are even some other add-ons that could show you where AoEs were going to happen before the AoEs would even go out. That kind of stuff I do think probably needs to be taken a look at, and probably some things need to be done about that. But that's where I'm at least.
Relaying about your idea about slippery slope, we can go to World of Warcraft to look at how they've dealt with add-ons and stuff. They've had a pretty much a complete open system as far as add-ons and mods. But they're at a point where their dev team has to take these add-ons and modifications, deadly boss mods, you know, like the Cacbot, that tell you things that are going to happen before they happen. They have to take that into account when designing it, because now if you're a player that is new to the game and you don't have these, you're now creating another layer, another barrier to entry to these raids. So I feel like they got to do something. They really got to nip it in the bud, because they can't be going down that World of Warcraft path and creating with mods in mind, especially when you have a system, a PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, that has no access to these whatsoever. So I'm with you. I think they need to figure this stuff out. I'm not in favor of mods. I'd like a clean experience, and all these have been done by the dev team without any mods or anything. They've tested this and they've completed it. It's completable without mods and add-ons. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's just how I feel about it. But with that, we want to know what you guys think. Please drop a comment down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and we appreciate your time. With that main quest out of the way and completed, let's move on to main quest number 4. And the new PvP release with 6.1. Have you two played it? What do you like about it, and what do you think needs adjustments? All right, dude. I'm going to say right now, PvP is dope now. I love PvP in Final Fantasy 14. Part of it is you can get into the queues. Like, I think the longest queue I ever had was like 45 seconds. And the matches are really quick. I think the longest match I had included an overtime of like 3 to 4 minutes. So it was like 9 minutes long. But you can get quite a few in rapid succession, especially if you're, winning or losing pretty badly. They can go pretty quick. I love the series. I love getting rewards for this. I love getting my minions out of the achievements. It's awesome. I love my kit as a Sage. Sage is awesome. To the point where we haven't had any nerfs or buffs to our kit since this whole thing released. I know some jobs have had adjustments here and there. Most notably, Black Mage recently apparently got so overtuned that they had to kind of walk it back here a little bit. But yeah, I am loving PvP, and I want more of it. But I think we're going to get into this space now where there are 2 seasons per patch, but only 1 series. So people that have gotten their series done in season 1, how many of those come back and play in season 2 now that there's no series for them to earn any more rewards? I feel there might be a drop off in PvP as far as people playing it, but we shall see. Apparently it's going to be a 6.18 or maybe shortly after. But yeah, I'm loving the mode so far. This is where I get my tombstones when I need them, because it's just it's fast and it's fun. A lot more fun than doing dungeon runs. I can't say any more about that. What do you think, Piers?
I'm right there with you. I think that if they were to go down any route with PvP, I think this is the route that they should have done, and I'm glad that they did. Making every job feel very, very distinct, giving every job a real identity in PvP is something that I think
it's tough to do, especially with how many jobs we have.
And it's tough, and it's really tough to balance, and that's why there has been so many job changes and adjustments in PvP, because I don't think that they've gotten down the correct balancing yet. But even then, I there's no job that I can think of that's completely not viable in PvP, and I think that's a testament to how well they've done. For me,
I will say that viability and absolute brokenness can be 2 different things. Like in the early days, the combo of warrior and white mage. Yes. If one team had it and the other team didn't, the team that didn't, they were probably going to lose, because that was just broken. It was just broken so much.
Yeah, there are definitely some jobs that were overtuned, especially white mage. And there were some jobs, and still some jobs, that I think are undertuned, like Gunbreaker, unfortunately. But overall, I think they're going in the right direction. When it comes to the Crystalline Conflict, I think that this PvP mode really shines in specifically Crystalline Conflict. I think when you look at some of the larger scale PvP like Frontlines, I think that the balance is a lot worse, just given the amount of people that are on the field at a time. I think you might need to look at that and tweak that a little bit. But overall, I'm really liking the direction they're going. I'm really excited for them to bring back Rival Wings. That was personally my favorite PvP mode before they kind of benched it to tweak it a little bit for this new PvP system they've created.
Little 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of deal.
Yeah, so I am excited for Rival Wings to come back, but for now, I do really like the Crystalline Conflict. I haven't played it a whole lot lately, but I really, really hit it when it first came out. And yeah, the fact that the queues are super short, the fact that the games are really quick and snappy, and you can step in one and get it done real fast, and you really don't feel like there's a lot of downtime there, is a real testament to the system. And I like the reward system. I like the trophy crystals. I like that there's emotes you can get from this. There's gear sets you can get from this.
That gear set is absolutely epic. Absolutely epic. And it's dyeable, right?
It is.
Oh god. And get sexy dark green. Hell yeah. Sign me up.
The fact that The fact that you can exchange trophy crystals for Hellhound collars, which means you can get those weapons that you couldn't get before, is really cool. Even though I'm sure some of the PvP purists from before are going to be upset that you can get those weapons. Whatever,
no.
doesn't matter to me. I really like them, so I'm cool. But hopefully this retains an audience. Like you said, if the reward system is going to, if the people who got all the rewards in this this season, I think is what you said.
Yeah, so we're ending season 1, and in a few weeks we'll have season 2, but the series is from beginning of patch to end of patch.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, so there won't be any more series for people to earn in season 2 if they've already completed it.
Okay, so is this just going to be? Is this going to reset everybody back down to bronze, and they got to climb back up to bronze? Is that the idea?
Yes. Yeah. That's a season. Yes.
I see. Hopefully it retains people. I would like to see some more rewards integrated, probably, so you can retain people. But overall, I do like the direction they're going. So I've actually PvP'd in this game. That's something I couldn't really say before. So
2 last points that I wanted to make. You touched on Frontlines. I've had epic times in Frontlines. Nothing like seeing the other 2 factions fighting amongst themselves. You as a sage throwing a Toxicon which boosts their damage taken in a nice clump that they're fighting in, firing off your Pneuma laser, and then flying in for double Phlegma and watching your heat go from nothing to 40 in just a matter of seconds is sweet. And saying tink 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 tink, just all those deaths.
Yeah, apparently Summoner's really strong in Frontlines too. So like, there are some jobs that are just like.
I've heard drop Bahama in the middle and just watch him wreck shop.
Yeah. Yep.
And the second thing I wanted to point on is I'm actually encouraged that they are really putting resources and time into PvP and adjustments. It gives me hope that they're really going to stick to this and make this a great piece of content for the future, because I'm having a blast with it now. So if they keep moving in this direction and balancing and tweaking and balancing and tweaking, get us rival wings back, balance and tweak, really put their stamp on this, that this is a mode to play, because it's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I hope everyone can experience that and enjoy this new piece of content. But with that out of the way, we want to hear from you folks. Please drop a comment down below. Tell us what you think. We'd love to hear from you. And with that completes this main quest. And let's move on to main quest number 5. Piers.
I'm taking this one away. All right, let's go. So the state of play was yesterday, and boy, it was a good one. While a lot was revealed, the biggest moment had to be the new Final Fantasy 16 trailer, right? Are you guys hyped, and what do you think about that release window? The state of play was great. I didn't even know it was going to happen last night. I was out of the loop, so I was just surfing through YouTube like I normally do, and I saw a couple things that caught my eye. The first thing I actually saw was the Resident Evil 4 remake announcement, which I am super pumped for.
I knew it was coming, but I was like, it's gotta, it's been, what was it, last year? 2021 was Resident Evil 3. So the fact that we're going to have to wait, a little bit longer for 4, I knew it was coming. But I just want my entire Resident Evil collection in PS4, PS5 to be complete.
Yes. Seeing, this is off topic obviously, but seeing Resident Evil 4 looking like it's going kind of a more horror route, kind of like more gritty, because the thing about the original Resident Evil 4 is kind of cheesy, kind of action flick. Like Leon was super kind of like snarky and like
little Sam Raimi
knives around, and So hopefully they go a little bit more realistic with this one. They're obviously bringing back the Resident Evil 2 Leon with the face, and like that's really cool. So I am super excited for Resident Evil 4, but
this is a Final Fantasy 14 podcast. Yes. I know you're hyped with that. But the crown jewel of the state of play.
The crown jewel, obviously, was number 1, seeing Yoshi up there talking about Final Fantasy 16, talking about the development process, talking about how he's working really hard, the dev team's working hard on this. And then obviously going into the new trailer, I was super duper pumped. So this is looking like an incredible game. As somebody who is a massive fan of character action games, specifically like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, Rising Revengeance, which has become a meme lately for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
I am super duper excited for how this game looks, like it's going to play. And obviously, it's looking incredible. It looks a lot more polished than it did on the first trailer, and it is the focus being on the icons or the summons is looking like a lot of fun. Looking like there's going to be crazy kaiju battles. You know, Ifrit versus Bahamut versus Odin versus Ramu. It's going to be crazy. So I'm really, really looking forward to the game and seeing about, officially seeing everybody who's working on it, seeing a lot of the Final Fantasy 14 crew, Yoshi, Soken, Koji Fox is translating it, doing localization. I don't think 16 could be in better hands than the ones that they're in currently. So that's where I'm feeling about it. So how do you feel?
So I thought the trailer was dope. And I tweeted as much. The release window, which we'll talk about in just a moment, gave me a big Homer size. Oh,
yeah.
That was a little disappointing. I thought that was going to come sooner, but again, we'll get to that in just a second. As far as the trailer itself, I love that there's a big focus on summons. The fact that the kaiju type battles, Ifrit versus Bahamut versus that is going to be awesome. Blowing limbs off of each other. Come on, that's sick. I hope that I believe that this is going to get an M rating. I don't think they've truly announced it yet, but if they do get an M rating, I hope they really lean into that because it seems really dark from what we've seen so far in the two trailers. Couple points though, and we talked about this. I talked about this on the Relic Grind over on Ready Check Raideo. This is the first time that a mainline first main series for a Final Fantasy has had no party whatsoever. It's just the one character as far as we can tell. So let's just take Final Fantasy 15, for instance. If you didn't like Gladius, but you had Ignis, which was your favorite, that's cool. He's part of your party. You had the banter it was part of the story, having these band of brothers, the bros. You're not going to have that as far as we can tell. And we don't have all the details, but it looks like it's just Clive. So if you're not a big fan of Clive, sorry, and I know that Final Fantasy 13 at the end went down the road of it was just lightning. But that was third sequel, second sequel down the road. Heck, even Final Fantasy Origins, Stranger of Paradise. You really only controlled Jack, but you still had a party. You still had the banter. They were part of the story and the intermingling and the talking off of the dialogue, bouncing off of each one another. I think it's something that's going to be missed. I think it's part of the DNA of Final Fantasy. And while I am all for the combat, it looks dope. It's Devil May Cry with splash of Final Fantasy 13 kind of aesthetics and the UI and what's going on. I'm all for that, but I feel like the story as a whole might lose something from the party if it's not actually there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm the same way. The one thing you can say about Final Fantasy 15, out of everything else about it, the one thing that was good about that game was the character dynamics between the four bros, right? That's the one thing that tied that game together. So I think that I do think they can make this work. I do think they can, as long as in between you going out and you slaying a bunch of crazy monsters and doing whatever you're doing, you're getting a lot of story, you're getting a lot of Clive with other characters, maybe the other whoever the primal dudes are, the guys who are mantling the
dominants.
The dominants, yeah. If you get some interactions with the dominants, maybe you're talking to important characters that aren't in your party, but you're still getting that character development. And I it's something like Devil May Cry, right? We're in between the missions, you're getting that character development, or something like Rising Revengeance, which has obviously like a codec, right, where people will call in to Raiden and talk to him as he's going through the mission. Obviously, this is Final Fantasy; you're not going to get that. Maybe there'll be a link shell or something. Who knows? So you can like hear people in your ear while you're fighting monsters or something. But I think you can still have good character development and good story with just having Clive as the main character. But it is going to be something that, you know, we have to see them pull off, because you know, like you said, the party thing is in the DNA of the Final Fantasy series. So for them to go with this solo adventure, as like you said, as far as we know, Clive is the only character. You know, I think that they can pull it off, but it will be something interesting to pay attention to, for sure. I think it's going to get an M rating too. I think it's absolutely necessary for them to give this an M rating. Just looking at the trailer right now, seeing the armies clash against each other, and the blood and the gore as
the blood sprays.
There's even like some scenes where like Clive is like, you know, naked from the neck down with a chick who's naked from the neck down, and they're in like a bathtub or something, and like, you know, there's like that, like. I don't know how you can't be an M rating. Like I'm 100% for that. I think Final Fantasy has needed to go down this road for a long time. A little bit more gritty, a little bit more realistic, a little bit more mature. I think that it's something they can definitely pull off, and I'm looking forward to it immensely. But as it comes to the release date, of course, like we said, we were going to get on to. I am upset, but I'm also excited. If they're going to take this long to polish this game, by all means, it better be the shiniest gem in the world when it comes out next summer. But I will give them that time.
Yoshi P has stated that the game can be played beginning to end completely. It's done. It's now just polish, debugging. I would think that wouldn't need to take a year to get that all done.
Yeah.
That, and you know, financially, thinking financially from them, you know, if you have a piece of, you know, a game that's done, why would you wait so long to put it out? You're just delaying you getting that financial, you know, recuperation for everything you've put in it. Maybe they're now working on DLC that's going to come out afterwards. You know, freaking 15 had a freaking truckload of it. So maybe that's part of what they're doing too. But I, for one, am you know, a little bit glad, because I really wanted to play Forspoken, and the rumor was, wrong one. There we go. The rumor was that if it got announced and it was going to be this year, like November, that Forspoken would get delayed again. I'm like, no, I want to play Forspoken. I don't want it to be delayed again. So I'm glad I get some good meaty time with Forspoken, because that's a kind of a game in the same vein where it kind of looks, you know, Devil May Cry is very action oriented. But my last two things that I wanted to bring up, I don't know if you really saw with the primal icon fights. It's really Ifrit versus every other icon. It's always Ifrit. Yeah. So, which leads me to believe that Clive is Ifrit. He's going to take 100%. Ifrit. So that's cool. And then the second thing is, looking at the trailer really in depth, it looks like the icons, you know, they become stances.
Yes.
So you cycle through these icon stances, you build up limit breaks, but again, the whole UI, very sparse, but it does have kind of a Final Fantasy 13, you know, clean, futuristic edge, which I enjoyed. I liked 13. Not everyone did, but you know, I liked how it looked. But yeah, the date, you know, we got to wait a year plus, maybe 15, 16 months. That's a long time, you know? It's just, a little disappointed. Big dough for me.
Yeah, it's a shame. You know, I would never think that I would see Resident Evil 4 remake before I saw Final Fantasy 16.
But no, right?
The universe we're living in right now. So, but like I said, if this better be super duper polished when it comes out, but you know, I'm pretty psyched for it.
And a little side thing, and I know this is a Final Fantasy 14 podcast, but you know, I love all Square Enix Final Fantasy. You know, this now means that we're not going to have 7 Remake Part 2 until 2024, 2025.
That was the thing, right? Yeah. If
that's
this
like,
this late, then what are they doing with 7 Remake? So I hope we see 7 Remake in 2024, maybe late 2023. Who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe I'll be dead before the series is all complete. That would be a shame.
I'll probably be dead too, honestly. Yeah.
Anyways, that is about it for us. We're going to wrap it up here. I want to thank you all for joining us. Piers, tell people where they can find you.
Well, as you can see right there, it's the other hand. It's right there. I have a Twitch channel. It's called Radio Piers. I don't stream very often lately because I just moved, but I do want to get back into it more. So if you do follow me on Twitch and you see me go live, come hang out with me. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hang out with you. I'm playing all kinds of games. I'm playing Final Fantasy. I'm playing pretty much anything else that's on my backlog. God, what now? It's like Dragon's Dogma. I just started playing. I don't know. I'm just playing some stuff that I've been meaning to play for a long time. So hopefully I can stream that with you guys, and you can find me there. Of course, if you're playing Final Fantasy 14 and you want to shoot me a tell, see how I'm doing, I'm Piers Harvey on the Leviathan server. Feel free to chat me up. I'm always willing to talk about anything, Ultimates, Savage, anything. Just feel free to reach out. But where can people find you, Tark?
Well, you can find me down there, all those little things right here. There we go, right there. Mm-hmm. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at Tarkoth Gaming. I'm also on the Excalibur server over on Final Fantasy 14. Again, hit me up. Be happy to talk about the game or anything, really. I love gaming in general. So, Final Fantasy 14, 5 days a week. Ultimate raids Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. Currently, unless I find a new group. And then I'm also part of Ready Check Raideo. Got a podcast, The Relic Grind. Then I'm part of Final Fantasy 14 Square Enix podcast, Thursdays, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. And also stream there. I've been doing some Jedi Fallen Order on Saturday and Sunday night. So that's been a lot of fun. Really exploring a lot. Some of these zones, man, are a lot bigger than I thought they would be. It's kind of crazy.
The game's great.
Yeah, it's good times, man. But yeah, that is about it for us. So until next time, y'all take care of yourselves. Stay safe.
See you guys soon.
End of line.